Welcome to Leaving Academia, Becoming a Freelance Editor. I'm your host, Paulina Cossette. This episode is airing on New Year's Day, 2026. And in addition to gym memberships and weight loss goals, neither of which I will ever talk about on this podcast, something that always seems to be at the forefront of people's minds this time of year is money. So that's what we're discussing today: money, self-worth, and the stories that academia plants in our minds that make it so hard to believe we deserve to be paid well for our work. If you've ever felt guilty for charging for editing or coaching, if you've ever underpriced yourself even though you know you should charge more, or maybe you've worried that financial success might make you one of the bad guys, this episode is going to challenge some beliefs you might not even realize you're carrying. I'm going to share what happens internally when you stop apologizing for your value, why showing up imperfectly in your marketing and interactions with potential clients actually builds more trust, and how embracing your worth and your unique qualities can change the way you operate your business and your life. And one quick note before we jump in, there is some adult language in this episode. If you're listening around kids or at work, you may want to pop in your headphones. All right, let's dive in. Welcome to Leaving Academia, Becoming a Freelance Editor, the podcast. I'm your host, Paulina Cossette. In 2019, I was a political science professor who was fed up with the stress and hostility of academia, not to mention the low pay. I left my tenure-track job and went from barely surviving to thriving as a freelance academic editor. Today, I own Acadia Editing Services, an editing and coaching business that brings in 6 figures a year. In this podcast, I'll discuss the challenges of academia, what academic editing involves, and what life as a freelancer looks like. If you're willing to jump outside your comfort zone, it is possible to find joy, true flexibility, and a profitable and rewarding career as an academic editor. Thanks for listening. So I want to start this episode with an admission. I was never a cool kid. I know, that's shocking. I desperately wanted to be, but I never was. Or at least that's how it felt. I was in marching band, which was wonderful. I played the saxophone, for those who are curious. And I was fine with being a band nerd. But even in that space, I kept trying to fit myself into the box of what I thought it looked like to be a cool kid inside the band nerd clique. Finally, in my mid-30s, when I got fed up and I left academia, I felt like I basically blew up my life. And I don't mean that in a bad way. What I mean is that I had put up with so much bullshit for so long. And finally, I learned to put myself and my family first. It felt like I was blowing up my career so that I could start with a clean slate and focus on what really matters. That's when I stopped caring what people think of me. That's when I finally discovered what it feels like to be free and to be my true self. And I want to pause here for a moment because this is actually where so much of our guilt around money starts. Long before we ever start a business, most of us are trained to believe that wanting money makes us selfish. Academia is especially good at this. You're supposed to do the work because you love it, because it's a calling, because knowledge should be shared freely, because we have to support the next generation of students. These are all the stories that are told to us. And if you ever feel like you might like to be paid well for your expertise, you are subtly, or sometimes not so subtly, made to feel like you're betraying some higher moral purpose. This is where we start to feel in academia like what everybody thinks of us matters. This is where we start to sink into a place where we're constantly worried about what everyone around us thinks. And inside academic culture, there is a very strong martyr narrative. You're supposed to work long hours. You're supposed to accept low pay. You're supposed to do endless quote unquote service, which is just free labor disguised as what they call service. You're supposed to constantly sacrifice yourself and by the way, your family to serve the institution and the students. And if you complain or if you want more or if you ask for a raise, the problem is framed as you, not the system. So when you leave academia and you start charging for your knowledge and your time and your energy, that guilt that has been so deeply ingrained in you doesn't just disappear. You carry it with you. You worry about what people think of you. Even when you're no longer in higher ed, your nervous system still remembers the rules. And one of those rules was this: good people don't care about money. In running my business, I've always embraced a don't give a shit attitude. I don't wear makeup when I record videos. I don't polish up my YouTube videos to be perfect or add special effects or cut them to move really quickly to keep you glued to them. I focus on delivering quality content that helps you sort through your own feelings about leaving academia and realize that you can be happy doing something else. Do I occasionally feel self-conscious when I see other women business owners with beautiful hair and perfect professional photo shoots for their websites and marketing photos? Sure. But then I remember that I just don't want to put my energy into that. That's not who I am. It's totally fine that other people do that. Everyone should absolutely be themselves. But having perfect hair and glowing skin just isn't who I am. It's never been who I am, and it never will be. And that's okay. So when I started marketing my business, and particularly my program, Becoming an Academic Editor or Coach, I didn't try to be perfect or highly polished. I didn't wait till the course was perfectly designed and tested and made sure I dotted every T and crossed every I. I actually started marketing it before it was finished. I focused on showing up. In my business, every week I show up on this podcast. I show up in your email inbox. Sometimes there are typos in those emails, believe it or not. I show up for my students during cohort calls. And instead of waiting till everything's perfect, instead of worrying and stressing out and spending hours making sure that everything's perfect, what I focus on is being honest when I think it can help you, especially if it's something you need to hear but would prefer to ignore. And even though it might be counterintuitive, and there's a few things we're going to talk about today that I think are counterintuitive, but will make sense after we discuss them. This authenticity, this showing up as I truly am, as my true self, is what has paid off. For over a year now, every cohort of my program has sold out. My email list has grown to nearly 3,000 people. And you all continue to listen to and to share this podcast, which I am especially grateful for. Thank you so much. As an previous uncool kid, maybe still an uncool kid, there's part of me that is still surprised by this. There's a small voice in my head that says, wait a minute, people like me? People listen to what I have to say? And then I feel proud. I feel like, fuck yeah, people like me. I am good at this. I have helped a lot of people grow their businesses. And more than that, I've helped them completely transform their lives. I am really good at what I do, and I deserve this success that I have. I deserve to be paid well for the knowledge that I have worked so hard to gain. and that I'm now sharing with you. And that is the crux of this episode. I'm telling you all of this not because I want to celebrate me. I'm telling you all of this because I want you to celebrate you. I suspect that many, or maybe even most of us out there, have that little voice inside our heads that says we're not cool enough. We're not lovable enough. We're not impressive enough. We're not perfect enough. That if we put ourselves out there, people won't respect us. Or worse, they'll judge us for charging money for what they think should be given for free. And here's what I want you to understand very clearly, because I have learned this from experience. People out in the world, they will respect you if you focus on sharing your knowledge with people who need it. They will respond to your calls to action. They will value you and your work. And they will want to pay you for your knowledge and time because you are going to help them solve their problems. They also will value and appreciate you because good people believe in paying other good people for quality information and service. Now, this brings me to another deeply ingrained belief, especially among academics who are starting out in business. We tend to think that charging less will attract more clients. If we just keep our prices low, people will feel safer saying yes. And this is one of those counterintuitive points that I mentioned. What I have observed again and again is that people interpret the value of a product or service in part based on what it costs. Let's look at an example. Imagine that I show you two used Toyota Camrys. They look identical. Same year, same mileage, same condition as far as you can tell. But one is priced at $1,500 and the other is priced at $5,000. What thoughts immediately pop into your head? Which car do you think is the better vehicle, the better buy? Most people, I expect, would assume that something must be wrong with the cheaper one, even if they can't see it yet. And many people will feel more comfortable buying the $5,000 car because the higher price signals quality and reliability and value. And it is exactly the same with coaching or editing. If you see one coach charging $1,000 for a 6-month package and another charging $3,000, and the two offers and people seem otherwise very similar, who do you assume is the better coach? It doesn't mean that the coach charging $1,000 isn't good at what they do. They could be fantastic at what they do. But we make assumptions about the service or product that we're buying based on the price. And so the point here is this: even though we as service providers think that lowering our prices will bring us more clients, people absolutely make judgments based on pricing. And they tend to perceive higher priced services as offering greater value or benefit. So when you try to keep your prices low out of fear, out of a feeling of scarcity, out of your worry that if you raise your prices, the clients are going to disappear, I'm telling you that is not necessarily the way to go. You should never make a decision out of fear or scarcity. You should look at the data. You should do the good science researcher thing and do an analysis of the data and make a decision based on that, not your feelings, not your assumptions of what people will or won't pay. And again, just because you think that people will pay lower prices, that more people will hire you if your rates are low, that is not necessarily true. Instead, you should be pricing your services based on the knowledge, time, and energy that you are putting into them. You should be pricing them based on the value that you are delivering to those clients? What are those services? What is that outcome that you are helping your client to achieve? What is that worth to them? That's how we price our services, not out of fear or scarcity. This brings me to another important point that I want to say out loud very clearly. We are good people. Right now, it feels like the world is dominated by people with money and power who are actively working to destroy everything that is good. They are billionaires. They exploit people. They destroy systems. They extract as much money and wealth as they can out of something. And they are wreaking havoc on everyone else. And it's easy to internalize this idea that wealth itself is the problem. Many of us have believed that for a long time, that if you have money, you are therefore bad. But my argument to you is this: it is time for good people to also become wealthy people. That doesn't mean that you have to be a billionaire, but it does mean that you need to stop feeling guilty for asking people to pay you for your knowledge and time, because you deserve success. You deserve happiness. You deserve wealth. And when you are happy and financially secure, because you are a good person, you will turn around and you will share that goodness and that wealth with the world. Every donation that you make, every cause that you support, every bit of time and energy that you now have available to you because you're not working 60 to 80 hours a week and you're utterly burnt out. All that time and energy that you now have in surplus, you give it back. And everything that you're doing because it makes the world a better place. Can you help people without making much money? Of course you can. But if we're honest, you can help a lot more people when your cup is running over. Not just in terms of finances, that's important, of course, but the time and energy point, right? When you have extra in your life, you can give extra to others. When your own needs are met, when you're not constantly stressed or scrambling, and once you are earning more money than you need, you can share all of that abundance with other people. And so it is abundance that gives you freedom. And it is freedom that gives you the capacity to share that wealth. So if you take only one thing away from this episode, let it be that you stop feeling guilty for making money or for asking to be paid in money. That you stop feeling guilty for asking people to pay you for your knowledge and your time and your energy. What you are offering is a fair exchange. You're not doing anything wrong. So how do we get there? How do we get to a place of abundance where we don't feel guilty about serving people and earning our fair share for that service? This is another point that might seem counterintuitive, but it's important that you internalize this. When you stop trying to be so polished and impressive, when you stop trying to look like you have everything perfectly figured out, people actually trust you more, not less. Perfection creates distance. Humanity creates safety. Let me say that again and break it down a bit. Perfection creates distance. We think that we have to be perfect before we put ourselves out there because, coming back to the point I started with, people are judging us. What are they going to think about us if we're not perfect? They're not going to trust us. Perfection creates distance. When you show up as that highly polished, perfected version of yourself in your social media posts, in your blog posts, with highly edited and controlled, curated videos, people don't know who you are. They don't connect with you. They feel like you are this person out in the world and that you're someone they don't identify with. They can't identify with perfection because none of us are perfect. In contrast, humanity Showing up as your true, messy self creates safety. When people see you showing up with all your messy edges, but with honesty and integrity, and yet still with confidence everywhere you go, they trust you because they can feel that you're real. You don't need to highly polish your image because the real you is someone who knows her shit. The real you is someone who can be the raw, uncurated, imperfect version of who you truly are and still impress people. All of you listening have this within you. And when you embrace this authenticity, this true self, something else shifts too. It shifts inside of you. When you stop apologizing for your success, when you stop trying to hide your messy edges, when you stop trying to do everything perfectly, your entire relationship to your business and to your work changes. You make decisions faster. You second guess yourself less. You stop procrastinating and start making progress, no matter how imperfect it is. You stop questioning every edit or every piece of advice that you give to a client. You stop over explaining your prices and your boundaries. Your marketing gets calmer and more self assured. Your energy becomes less anxious and it becomes much steadier. And the people who are thinking about working with you, they see this, they feel this, and they want to hire you because no one wants to work with an editor or coach who doesn't have self confidence. Before I wrap this up, I want to leave you with a moment of reflection. Where are you still shrinking yourself? Where are you still apologizing for your prices, for your lack of experience, for your ambition, for your desire to live well? Where are you still acting as if wanting ease or comfort or financial security makes you less ethical or less kind or less worthy? And what would change internally and externally in yourself, in your life, in your business, if you fully believed, if you fully embraced the idea that you deserve to be paid well for the work you do? If you decided that 2026 is the year that you deserve to be happy, that you deserve to have abundance, that you deserve to have extra money and time and energy to share with the people you love and with the world, how would that change your life? Because here's what I believe very, very deeply. And this, I didn't, you heard me say earlier, I used to be terrified of what people thought of me. I always wanted to fit into their box of what was cool. So I did not just be born with this confidence. It has been well earned. I have fought hard for this, but I've seen it work, right? Especially in running my business over the last 6, now going on 7 years. I have seen this. When you embrace your value, when you stop hiding it, when you stop softening the edges, those messy edges, when you stop apologizing for yourself and your knowledge and your skills and the success that you deserve, you start to attract people who truly respect and appreciate you, the real you. You attract people who don't just accept your prices, but who trust you because of them. I believe that the key to success in business is embracing your true self, whether that's a longtime band nerd or whatever that looks like. The key to access is accepting who you are, believing that if you put your true self out into the world, success will find you. Your ideal clients will feel your confidence. They'll sense your belief in yourself. and they will want what you have to share because you are already enough and you are already worthy of being paid well and having that life that you've always wanted. From the bottom of my heart, I wish you and your loved ones a happy and healthy new year. We have been through a lot in the last year plus, and I hope that 2026 is better. I hope that I can help you make it better. If you want 2026 to be the year that everything changes for you in your life, that you finally stop overworking and accepting all the abuse that academia dishes out, if you want to make 2026 a year of abundance and joy, get in touch with me. There's no pressure. Go to acadiaediting.com/map. That's a great place to start. Or just send me a connection request on LinkedIn. Send me a DM. I'm happy to chat with you to see if what I have to offer is the right fit. If it's not, no big deal. We made a connection. We expanded our networks. I wish you and your loved ones so much goodness in this upcoming year. Happy New Year. If you're unhappy in academia and you think you might be a good editor or writing coach, check out my course, Becoming an Academic Editor. This digital course is paired with a 12-week group coaching program to support you through your decision to leave academia or not, and to start building a profitable and rewarding academic editing business. Learn more by going to acadiaediting.com/become an editor. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time.